We also have distinguished Ayurveda practitioners and experts. Professor P. Ram Manohar, who is also a member of the interdisciplinary R&D task force of Government of India of Ministry of Ayush. Professor Jayan Damodaran, Dean, Faculty of Ayurveda, Kerala University of Health Sciences. Dr. Sri Ranjini Jaideep from Canada. Uh, and of course, Dr. Hemalata Putni, head of department, Amrita Institute of Ayurveda. So it's such a wonderful panel, and it's really, really wonderful to have all of you as part of this exercise today. From our side, we have one of the doctors. He is not a typical Ayurveda doctor, but an Ayurveda enthusiast, Dr. Sanjeev Chaube. He is with us. He has been in China practicing medicine for past 10 years. And to my right, Dr. Anita, she by profession, education, she is a Ayurveda doctor, and she has been promoting cultural heritages of India in China for a long time. So we are really glad to have both of you as speakers for today's evening. And of course, the audience from all kinds of traditional medicine, yoga, and also the Western medicine. So I welcome all of you to this webinar, and I hope that you will find it useful, and all of us will be able to take home few action points which will help us in taking the Ayurveda further, in promoting Ayurveda further in this country. As I said, I'm the only speaker who is least qualified to speak about Ayurveda, so I must confine myself to broad 2 or 3 points, prime the discussions which is going to come in the panel discussion. Like yoga, Ayurveda is also an ancient gift of India to the entire world. It is a global heritage. India has propounded it, practiced it, and perfected it over thousands of years. So with proper support and awareness, Ayurveda has the potential to bring huge benefits to the health and wellness of humankind, especially in harmony with the nature. So therefore, I think it falls on every one of us, those who are practicing Ayurveda, those who have the knowing a little bit of Ayurveda, to do whatever is possible at our own individual level to take this science to the greater part of the globe, and also to the scientific community wherever they are. So I think today's exercise is going to be a very small step in this larger objective, and I hope at the end of the day we will all feel that we have done a little bit this objective on this. And you know, I'm sure if I try to do this again with such a large number of audience, it will be very fitting that we do it in a physical manner with all of you coming to China with a larger number of audience here. So that will be our objective for future. But COVID-19 pandemic has prevented from happening. So, ladies and gentlemen, pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic has actually taught us one thing: no single system of medicine is perfect and fully capable of addressing all the challenges which humankind is facing. So this is a fact which is brought out by COVID-19, and our own experience since the beginning in fighting this pandemic has taught us that traditional systems of medicine, including Ayurveda, has a tremendous role to play in countering these kind of large-scale outbreak of diseases. As you're all aware, when during the initial days when the pandemic struck, there was no therapy available, there was no medicine, there was no vaccine. So people took to their traditional knowledge to strengthen their respiratory systems, to actually improve their immunity through Ayurveda and whatever traditional knowledge they had. So, uh, so thanks to Ministry of Ayush, now all these practices, all these resources, all our experiences in fighting this pandemic are being documented. Most of them are already available on the website. for both the practitioners and also the patients who are suffering from COVID-19. I hope while more work will be required and we are doing to address some of the challenges posed by this pandemic, some efforts at this point in time will also be devoted to countering future pandemics. How Ayurveda and traditional system of medicine can help in addressing future pandemics. In fact, much work is already going on across the world in the allopathic tradition, how to prevent such kind of pandemics. It may not be a bad idea to start some work in the field of Ayurveda also to these concerns. And I'm sure, I think Professor Patwarthan himself is an expert on Ayurveda in China. Just before coming here, I've seen some paper authored by him along with other players. So we would love to hear more about how Ayurveda can be promoted in China and the Chinese approach to traditional medicines from our speakers. But I would like to leave one point for your consideration, that Ayurveda has much larger scope in China, and it is up to us, not only Ayurveda, Ayurvedic products. So it's only up to the industry and experts like you find ways and means how this thing can be brought closer to the people of China also. So with these thoughts, I would like to conclude my remarks. Sorry if I have taken the time. I wish all the participants a very productive discussion in this webinar. And before I conclude, my personal thanks to Dr. C. Suresh Kumar, Secretary CISSA, because he was the first person I contacted for organizing this. He was very willing and readily accepted the request, and actually took the initiative on organizing this. And similarly, we are very thankful to Dr. Hemlathapuram for Amrita Institute of Ayurveda for putting together such a wonderful program. So thank you very much once again. Jai.
Now I would like to invite Dr. Hemlatha moderate the panel discussion. Dr. Hemlatha.
Thank you, sir. I hope I am audible.
Yes, you are audible.
A very warm good evening to all experts in Ayurveda who have gathered here. Today, we are celebrating the 6th Ayurveda Day by the Ministry of Ayush, and it's such a great pleasure and privilege for us to be a part of this webinar, which is co-organized by the Consulate General of Shanghai and CISSA. The theme of today's webinar is Ayurveda for Poshan. As we all know, food is a very important concept in Ayurveda, and it's considered as one of the tripod on which the human life sustains. Nutrition management is an integral part of Ayurveda interventions for every individual, healthy as well as diseased. So there is an elaborate description of nutritional concepts in Ayurveda that have tremendous contemporary value. Ideas like daily regimen, seasonal food, individualized dietary routine, incompatible mixtures, or disease-specific diet are unique to Ayurveda and have an important role to play in the context of both healthy living as well as disease management. So it would not be wrong to say that Ayurveda gives as much importance to nutrition and disease prevention as to diseases. So the International Ayurveda Day 2021, we have chosen Ayurveda for Poshan as the focal theme to brainstorm on the infinite potential Ayurveda holds in building positive health and immunity for all, especially in the current scenario of global pandemic. So we are indeed privileged to have with us the most elite among the nation's Ayurveda experts to discuss the subject in this first ever collaborative project between Indian Ayurveda fraternity and the Consulate of China. While we are getting into the panel discussion, it's a great privilege to invite the keynote speaker of the day, Professor Dr. Bhujan Patwarthan, a name which doesn't need any introduction at all. Dr. Patwarthan is a distinguished professor, Interdisciplinary School of Health Sciences, Savitribai Phule University, India. He's a National Research Professor designated by the Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. He's the former Vice Chairman, University Grants Commission. He's also a member of several academic committees and policy-making bodies such as WHO, Niti Aayog, Planning Commission, a few to mention. Dr. Patwarthan is also a fellow, National Academy of Sciences and National Academy of Medical Sciences in India. He is the founder, editor-in-chief, Journal of Ayurveda and Integrative Medicine, Elsevier. He is a recipient of several orations, awards, and holds 8 Indian patents, 2 US patents, and over 150 scientific publications and more than 10,000 citations. It's our privilege, Dr. Bhujan Patwarthan, sir, to have you among us. I officially invite Dr. Patwarthan to deliver his talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hemlata. First, let me congratulate Consulate General of India, Shanghai, for this visionary webinar which you have organized. And the pointers you have given during your inaugural speech are very, very important. And I will touch upon them when I talk about, but I thought of mentioning that right in advance. You said you are not expert in Ayurveda, but the vision which you have shown to bring these two great traditions together itself speaks a lot. I also congratulate CISSA for organizing this Indo-China seminar on Ayurveda Day, and the theme which has been chosen for this is Ayurveda for Poshan. For those who don't understand Sanskrit, Poshan is nutrition. So Ayurveda for nutrition is the theme for this year. We have an eminent panel, and I'm not therefore going to go in details right in the beginning. I'll try to give some kind of a reflection on what I think as role of functional foods or health supplements in today's modern society. As rightly pointed out by the Consul General, COVID has taught us many things. And one of the things which COVID has taught is, and he also mentioned that we have realized that no system of medicine, both have some strengths and some weaknesses, and it is up to us to bring them for the best benefit of people. And another lesson we have learned is be modern or traditional. COVID-19 has brought both of us, these systems, on the same level playing field, because COVID is as new to modern medicine as new it is to traditional medicine. So over this background, I would like to first give you international perspective, because this is Indo-China webinar happening, and I trust that China and India have so much commonality of traditions, of knowledge systems, and together a lot of things in knowledge and scholarship can be done. Currently, the progress in this direction is happening, but I'm happy to see several Chinese scientists also joining this webinar, and I hope that this webinar will bring more opportunities and open new collaborations between scientists from these two countries. The United Nations, as you know, has announced 2016 to 2025 as a decade of action on nutrition. This decade is expected to increase visibility of nutrition action, strengthen multi-sectoral collaboration, create synergies, and measure progress towards sustainable food systems. At the same time, Food and Agriculture Organization, again of the United Nations, they have declared that their Foundation Day, which is October 16th, will be celebrated every year as World Food Day. And we just recently did that celebration on October 16th. And this is to promote worldwide awareness and action about food and nutrition. So I must tell you that this now awareness has reached to such an extent that that just next week, or rather as I am talking, the COP26 is happening in Glasgow. And in that COP26, the food which will be served, will be local vegetable-based seasonal food. 80% of that food will come from the local regions, that is Scotland. So these are some indications how food and nutrition is taken seriously at the international level. The government of India has taken several affirmative actions in support of UN declarations. Prime Minister Modi has announced Poshan Abhiyan or Nutrition Initiative as a flagship program involving 17 ministries to improve nutritional outcomes and holistic nutrition. The Food Safety Standards Authority of India, or FSSAI, has launched initiative called the Eat Right movement, involving all the stakeholders to improve public health and to combat negative nutritional trends to fight lifestyle diseases. The Minister of Ayush is actively participating in Poshan Abhiyan with composite nutritional guidance and has organized nationwide awareness campaigns, webinars, video, and plantation drives. As I talk, a major program in Jaipur has been just concluded, wherein the Ayurveda Day has been celebrated as the National Ayurveda Institute in Jaipur. As all of us know, that the World Health Organization, or WHO, proclaims that a healthy diet helps to protect against malnutrition and help prevent several diseases, including diabetes, heart diseases, stroke, cancer, and so on. Reducing intake of saturated fats, sugars, salt, and increasing consumption of fresh fruits, vegetables, and other natural foods is highly recommended, not only by WHO, but most of the professional scientific bodies. We all know that unhealthy diet and lack of physical activity are leading to global risk related to health. The value of natural foods, their diversity, affordability, and its cultural relevance remain undisputable. Consuming natural, regional, seasonal foods and fruits, vegetables has been found to be healthier and economical. However, it is worrying to witness rapidly emerging business trend in functional foods, nutraceuticals, food fortification, supplementation. I sometimes feel that from medicalization of the society, are we moving to supplementization of the society? And actually, it is like converting natural foods into packages of tablets, capsules, granules, and drinks. This anyway is not good for the humanity. Various categories of health foods and supplements, including nutraceuticals, functional foods, dietary and herbal products, are pushed into market. Sometimes specific type of nutrition supplementation may be beneficial. We all know that supplements are necessary whenever you have deficiency. Several deficiency diseases have been cured just because of this kind of supplementation. However, supplementation cannot replace the natural foods. The development of nutraceutical requires much less investment, has less stringent regulatory controls, and higher profitability as compared to highly regulated pharmaceutical drug market. However, the evidence emerging from systematic reviews and meta-analysis does not support various health benefit claims made for functional foods such as antioxidant, vitamins, minerals, probiotics, fibers, phytochemicals, and several others. Most of the supplements and the market-driven approach for pushing them without sufficient evidence is coming under global criticism. There is a consensus among many credible professional associations that it is better to consume natural food than to depend on health supplements. Food processing is emerging as another threat. While food processing is necessary in many situations, the increased use of ultra-processed foods, or called as UPF, is another emerging new threat. Recent research indicates, and the recent paper just last week published in Journal of American Medical Association, or JAMA, It says that the proportion of energy intake from consumption of UPF in the United States has increased over last 2 decades, and this has resulted into increased prevalence of metabolic syndrome, including obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes. It has risen by almost 35% in the US. So consumption of ultra-processed foods is linked to inflammation, cardiometabolic diseases, irritable bowel syndrome-like conditions, cancers, and increased risk of mortality in adults, while also being associated with metabolic syndrome and dyslipidemia in adolescents and children. So this new emerging trend of fortification industry is also worrying. It may pose economic and environmental as well as health challenges, especially for the low and middle income countries. Fortification of food also is necessary. We have seen fortification of iodine in salt, but the success of iodized salt has opened doors to many new ideas, such as folic acid fortified cereals, vitamin D fortified dairy foods, and some of these ideas are really, really scary. We can't imagine converting this natural rice into some kind of a fortified synthetic looking rice. These fortification trends which are going in another direction are also worrying. Food sovereignty allows the communities to have control over the production, distribution, and consumption of foods. The movement of food sovereignty allows the workers, farmers, and consumers, and even the activists to come together and fight for the cause. I would like to mention that the principle of food sovereignty, seed saving, soil health becomes extremely important in current situation. The future of food, health, and humanity as a civilization dialogue between the mechanical mind and ecological mind has been beautifully illustrated by a book written by Dr. G.G. Gangadharan, who is going to speak now, and Dr. Vandana Shiva, and which is published by CISSA. Again, I wish to congratulate CISSA for showing this visionary activity of publishing this wonderful book. We must organize our actions for our future with better production, better nutrition, better environment, and better life. This must be in the right step to move in the direction towards enhancing not only food sovereignty, but in an inclusive, sustainable, human manner to promote good food practices. In current situation, I am confident that Ayurveda can provide deeper insights and enrich holistic understanding about food and nutrition and diet for health, wellness, and eventually benefit the global community. I'm sure all other speakers who are going to contribute more towards Ayurveda, they will be able to tell us how all this can be happen with help of Ayurveda. Before ending, I must tell you also that the world is looking for integration. So when I'm talking about Ayurveda on Ayurveda Day, I would also like to open collaborative research to understand more, not only the commonality between Ayurveda and Chinese medicine, but also open new research to understand each other and to come out with something innovative which can help the global community. I'm sure the Chinese scientists who are present here and the Indian scientists and Ayurveda specialists who are coming here will continue this dialogue towards this direction. I again congratulate Consulate General in Shanghai for this wonderful webinar, and thank you CISSA for inviting me for this. Namaste.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. It was indeed a very pertinent talk, because already we know the post-pandemic period, the youth of India has been confined to the internet with a very, you can say, a new biological rhythm capturing up with, which has nothing to do with day and night. And the use of processed and fortified food has been increasing even in India, especially among the young people. So I hope our experts can, if sir has allowed some 3 minutes for a question answer session. So if anybody has any questions, you can please put forth. Maybe I think we can take 1 or maximum 2 questions. It seems that nobody has a question for the moment. Anyway, we are having a
We have participant who wants to ask a question. So we are just changing the camera direction towards him. So kindly wait.
I have a question to Dr. Patwarthan that you have mentioned about promoting Ayurveda in China, and Consulate General also has a
Your voice is very feeble. I can't hear you.
Sir, you have mentioned about promoting Ayurvedic industry in China. That is a very good initiative you are taking. But when you look at the research papers published by China, you see they are publishing a lot of research papers. From our side, research papers which are published, we are lacking in that. So if you look at the curriculum, Ayurvedic curriculum, the curriculum, in my view, it requires changes where there should be courses which should be also of modern medicine. There, the Indian Ayurvedic doctors also must learn biochemistry, microbiology, and other curriculum which is a part of modern medicine. The curriculum, if you look at Chinese curriculum, not only of any education, they have adopted, they have changed the circumstances. Yes, we all are proud that it is a good system. It is our culture. We all are proud, but still, it requires initiative from the government. Even in the undergraduate studies, I would say if you go to US universities, students study research paper, but in Indian Ayurvedic studies, the students, you have to make their mind towards research and promote Ayurveda. They must learn research methodology. Statistics also should be a part of curriculum in Ayurveda, though, so students will be able to present good research.
No, I agree with your observations, and I think some steps have been taken, but we have to do much more. The research culture in the right from undergraduate in Ayurveda needs to be strengthened. The Ministry of Ayush has started capacity building programs in this direction, as well as from Niti Aayog. There is a committee to look into how in education the traditional medicine component can go in modern medicine, and modern medicine or modern pharmacology, biology component can come in traditional medicine curriculum. So this is at present going on, and the new national commissions which have been established, they have taken this on priority. So I'm sure very soon we'll be able to see this. But I must compliment China for doing this very, very successfully. To be frank with you, I am following Chinese model for this kind of integration. They have been able to do it very successfully in China by integrating Chinese traditional medicine with allopathy even during COVID time. So this is the effort, and that's why I congratulated the Consulate General, for organizing this Indo-China, because this kind of exchange between two countries of great civilizations is very, very important in today's context. Thank you.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Shivraj Nile, working in China.
Yes, yes.
Hello. Sir, nice to hear about your lecture. Actually, basically, I'm working on TCM here in China, traditional Chinese medicine in Hangzhou. And I found that like here in China, the doctors and the practitioners, even the researchers, they're utilizing traditional Chinese medicine directly to the patients. And even if patient visit to like hospitals, they first give preference to TCM, like traditional Chinese medicine. But like I observed in India also, people mostly deny the Ayurvedic medicine. So for that, like if we take initiative to utilize the TCM policies in Ayurveda, so that may be benefited. And also, like since from last 3-4 years, I'm working in China, and I'm finding different collaborators from India. So I want to connect with Indian collaborators for like working on Ayurveda and like TCM together to get benefited to China and India. Thank you, sir.
Very good. We should really strengthen this, what you are doing, and you're right that in India, this is not yet happening, but in China, they have been able to do it. But as I told you, that recent efforts from government are in this direction. And very soon, this conglomeration or confluence of these two systems will happen in education. Once we are able to do this in education, automatically things will change, because today in our allopathic education, minds are closed, They're not open
Yes,
to even look at beyond it. So this will change. This is changing slowly. Yeah.
Yeah, even the use of nanotechnology in TCM. They are utilizing some nanotechnology in TCM.
Yes.
That is also like a new area for Ayurveda, I think.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shivraj.
Thank you, madam.
Sir, we should move on to the next speaker, and maybe at the end of the interaction, we have 10 minutes for question answers for taking further questions. So now, with much pleasure, let me call upon Professor Dr. G.G. Gangadharan. He's again a very eminent Ayurvedic practitioner who has been practicing Ayurveda physician for a long time with a great tradition which he is carrying forward. And he is currently the director of Ramaya Indic Speciality Ayurveda Restoration Hospital in Bangalore. He is one of the few healthcare professionals in the country to have received the prestigious fellowship from the Ashoka Innovators for the Public from USA. He is also an expert in authentic Ayurveda methods of diagnosis, especially the pulse diagnosis, and successfully he's treating lifestyle disorders. He traveled all over India and abroad as a coordinator and the secretary of an all India network of Loka Swasthya Parampara Samvardhan Samiti for promoting the local health traditions and gathered first-hand knowledge of local health traditions and its relation to Ayurveda and vice versa. Dr. Gigi's principal contributions to the science of Ayurveda have been in the area of the genetic basis of Prakriti, the Ayurveda concept of constitutional body types, which got published in the prestigious Nature. He is a member of several committees of the Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, and other governmental bodies and private institutions. He has authored and edited many books on Ayurveda, the latest one being Ayurveda, published by Penguin Books. Sir, it's indeed my pleasure and privilege to invite you to deliver today's lecture. Dr. Gigi, please.
Namaskar. Thank you, Dr. Hemlata, for a nice introduction. And good evening to all, and namaskar to Consulate General Mr. Nandakumar and his team, who has been pivotal to organize such a wonderful program between India and China. I am actually I am additionally happy because my career started abroad. My work started abroad with a visit to Beijing for 10 days to attend the International Conference on Ethnopharmacology in 1994, which allowed me to go and see firsthand experience of how China is working along with the Chinese system is working along with the modern medicine. Again, I could visit in 2010 with another team from Hindustan Unilever to Shanghai and see how the research is going on. I stayed and spent some 3-4 days in Shanghai and nearby area. So I am so actually fascinated by the kind of work that's happening in China. Actually, India should follow and copy a lot of things that China has been doing in the area of research. And both these civilizations have got a lot to contribute to the science of healing and health. And I would like to limit my talk to Ayurveda as a portion. I think we all are aware that Ayurveda stems out from a different kind of a paradigm, which see things in a very holistic perspective. When we say holistic perspective, it has got its own meaning and its own understanding. And we have understood things from a perspective that Ayurveda has developed over a period of years. And as you know, every living being and the universe are interconnected. That's what Ayurveda says. And the food that we consume, which can be divided into majorly as the primary metabolites and secondary metabolites. The Ayurveda consider the primary metabolites as rasa pradhana and secondary metabolites as virya pradhana, or which comes under the category of medicine, whereas rasa pradhana, which comes under primary metabolites as ahara pradhana. So ahara and dravya and Aukshada dravya has got some difference in terms of its action in the body and its primary objective that does in the body. We say that Kejal Rasayana Gurudev, some of the actions of the things are done by its rasa, and some of them are done by its virya. So this rasa and virya are actually the two important contributing factors by which it works in the body. And the principle of Ayurveda is to balance the body's dynamic equilibrium always in a position that is giving us a condition of health. So Kshirna Vardhaidavya, Vruddha Kshabaidavya, and Sama Palaidavya. This is the basic concept of Ayurveda to treat the person with a illness and also keep one's health in a dynamically in a sustainable form. So both conditions we are trying to balance always, which is in tune with the external environment and internal milieu. These two are always connected. So everything we do in dietetics is to correct this internal milieu in tune with external milieu. This is the art and science of Ayurveda. And we say that Sarvarasa Abhyaso Balavardhananam. To get the proper health, we should have a habit of taking all the 6 states. And basically Ayurveda divided everything that is edible as having 6 states. These states are universal. Every dravya that we can find, every potentially useful substance that can be ingested can be categorized into 6 rasas, and of which 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 may be predominant in one given dravya. So always we look at dravya through the chasma, through the spectacle of rasa. And rasa, guna, vira, vibhaga, prabhava are the 5 instruments which we use to understand, measure and utilize the dravyas outside the world. So this is the background by which we should see. We don't see the substance only in its biological form. We see the substance in its form, how it is work and how it is interacts and how it gives result in the body. And as dravyam or a substance which is defined as a food always has been seen from the concept of prakriti, the nature of the food and its properties, how the food is presented, what is its functional attributes, and how the food is processed, the karana and the effect of processing. Karana is a kind of samskara. We bring in changes in a dravya by bringing in certain kinds of processing, which can involve heat, it can involve water washing, it can involve many kind of processing, which brings changes in the inherent nature of the food article. And we also look into samyoga, the result of combination of food. And we also attribute its effect in its rashi. The amount of consumed by a person at a given point of time also has an effect on the body. Same food taken in a lesser quantity and a larger quantity makes different kind of action in the system. We also consider the desha, where the food has come from. Depending upon the desha, Anupa desha, Sadharana desha, or Jangala desha, all these deshas has got its own effect in the food that is being generated. So we look into the dravya from where it comes. For example, some dravya which comes from Anupa desha will be different in its biological action than the same thing come from the Jangala desha, because of the predominance of the different attributes given to that substance. We also consider kala, the effect of season, time of the day when we take the food, and also the time of collection of that particular thing from its habitat, also is considered. These are all the part of the biological functions of the food. We also consider the mental status of the person who consume and how it affects him. So affect him or her. The mindset, the nature of the individual consuming the food also is affected. A food which is consumed by a Vada predominant persons, its action in her body, in his body will be little different from that same food being consumed by Pitta Prakriti body. Because the way the body interacts with that food is different. And Abhayogtra, refers to the rules of food consumption. There is a rules how to be taken food. All those, when all these facts are put together, we come to know its action. Why I have given this detail is to look food in a different perspective. We said aharam is a kind of part of your body. Annal bhavanti bhudani. That means that the anna is the root of all biological existence. So we consider that anna, if it is pure, the mind also will be pure, the body also will be pure. So for that anna to be consumed the proper way, all these factors has to be considered. Then only it will give its full benefit to the consumer. Ahara should not be considered as a commodity which we consume to fill our appetite. It is not the way we look at it. So the guidelines that we have given can be applied to the food and assessment everywhere. It involves both objective factors that deal with the properties of the food as well as the subjective factors such as how the consumer feels and responds to the food. And food, as mentioned in the earlier slides, is one of the most important conceptions in Ayurveda. And medicine is only required where discipline regarding and sensitivity to the food are inadequate. We say that ahar suddho sattva shuddhi. So even the subtle aspect of food become the part of your sight. The mindset is being controlled or influenced by the kind of food you take. That also is considered in ahara. So it is not merely the substance that goes into a system is considered food. How it interacts with the body also is a matter of food. We all know that Dinacharya and Ritujharya are the two important instruments that is given by Ayurveda to the people to have a healthy life. And Ayurveda guarantees a kind of Sadam Jivam, 100 years of blissful life, provided we are able to follow these principles. In that principle, the Dinacharya is the mechanism through which we make our body capable of consuming things that get into the body and digest it properly, metabolize it properly, make that consumed thing part of your body tissues in a very serene way. So Dinacharya in that way, very important. We divide the whole day and night into factors which are influenced by Vata, time that is influenced by Vata, time zone that is influenced by Pitta, time zone that is influenced by Kapha. Same thing happens in the nocturnal routine also. So like that, Ayurveda does not take food as an independent entity which can influence. Food influences the body health in the methods with a proper combination of things which derives its effect from that. And in Dinacharya we say these are the factors we say these are the things we should do so that the food that we consume get assimilated properly. It starts from the getting up on a proper time, depending upon the place of your stay, and all these other aspects are explained in Ayurveda to make your body pure enough to consume the food and make it available for the body in full sense. I don't think that the Dinacharya will be complete without going into the aspects of Ritujharya. So Ritujharya and Dinacharya are the two components which control the health of a person. So we have divided the whole time span, all year span into two ayanas, which is Uttarayana and Dakshinayana, and both has got its own effect in the body. One is energy consuming, one is energy giving. The three Rudus are of Uttarayana, 3 Rudus of the year is Dakshinayana. This is a comprehensive subject which I want to give you a glimpse of the Ayurvedic perspective to health from the point of view of food, which are interconnected with your day-to-day activities. And we say how each doshas get accumulated and aggravated and pacified in the body in a given point of time. This condition does not anywhere reflect any disease condition. It is a natural kind of aggravation and pacification. It happens naturally in the body. We don't get into disease by this. And if it goes above the level of its aggravation, only disease happens. So this kind of very subtle and very detailed and very deep understanding of the body's mechanism is the cornerstone of Ayurveda. I think this kind of understanding is not there anywhere. We consider food as merely the primary metabolites. We take into starch, take to protein, we take to vitamins, we take into micronutrients, we consume and fiber and other things. It is not. The food is actually, we say that food is the integral part of one's health. And food is the primary object of one's health. So the food also can be understood and can be consumed and can be divided according to seasons. We have got seasonal dishes, we have got seasonal drinks, and we have got places of stay according to changing season, activities to be undertaken changing season, precautions to be taken in changing season. All those things are part of Ayurveda's understanding of human biology. So what I want to say that Ayurveda, the worldview of Ayurveda, which is based on the philosophy that Chad Darshanas are founded on sustainable way of life and living. It is any action, any advices, if you look into Ayurveda, you can find that everything is a sustainable way, it has been explained. It's not a kind of exploitation. It is not based on the way of annihilation. The principles are always sustainable way of using the life and not human-centric. It is all, human is only part of the universe. It's one of the components, not as human-centric. We are not here to enjoy things outside. We are here to sustainably use things and being help to each other. So sustainable diets, sustainable lifestyles, activities, etc. are a result of primary desire to preserve and encourage well-being. So when you talk about food as a basic factor for well-being, all these aspects has to be taken into consideration as part of Ayurveda's dietetics. Ayurveda dietetics is not merely the food as a component, food in the context of the whole system, which is part of human existence. We say that the dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, the four components of human endeavor, to achieve that, we have to have a healthy body. For that healthy body and healthy mind, we need to have a healthy and pure food. So that's why we say annam nanindhyal tadvrudam, and annam has given utmost importance, and Ayurveda has an enormous potential for contributing in this way to the global health, and its principles are universal. One of the reasons that Ayurveda can play an important role is that Ayurveda is actually and always evolving. It is not stagnant at any moment of time. And Ayurveda, even though it is originated in the country of India, the principles are universal, which can be applied everywhere. And Ayurveda says that everything in the universe can be used as medicinal. That is one of the proclamations that Ayurveda makes, that everything can be understood from the point of view of Panchamahabhuta, the point of view of Shadrasas, and it can be understood by its action in the body through the rasa. So if you are able to understand any dravya from its Shadrasa principles, we can use it in all conditions of human life cycle. So this is the basics of Ayurveda. The food is the instrument which is considered the basic building block of living system, and this has to be taken with utmost care to make it. We cannot make a food, as the previous speaker Bhujan has been telling. We cannot make the food into a pill form. We cannot leave the supplements. All the science of gut microbiome, which is emerging as a new science, it is by changing the all thinking and understanding of human physiology. He is pointing to this food as a whole. We say that treat the man as a whole, take the drug as a whole. We take whole. The reason is that it has got its own reasons to benefit the body. We cannot isolate a thing and we cannot mutilate a thing. We cannot remove certain things and give certain things. Then it will not give the balance of the body which it requires. And as our body is in a state of dynamic equilibrium, it needs to be balanced using things that are available externally. In that most grossest thing that is available to the human system or living system is the food. And food is understood based on these several factors, which becomes one with human system. I think this is the basic cornerstone of Ayurveda's dietetics, and understanding food and other substances from this perspective will give rise to so many combinations. That is why we have got in India, if you come, each region has got their own dietetics, their own kind of culinary practices, their own types, varieties of dishes. And each changing Ritu, we have got our own dishes and our own items to be, and all our science of culinary is based on this tradition and based on the knowledge of the changing ecosystem, how it influences. And if you know, we have food for a healthy person, food for the life cycle approach from the newborn to the geriatric persons, food for a situation that changing in the changing season, like the winter food, the summer food, the rainy season food, food in a convalescence period, food to improve your appetite, food to stop your loose bowels, food to give you strength. So many varieties of foods are there based on these principles. One should understand that these variations made in Ayurveda, which are expressed through so many hundreds of texts, are not based on any modern understanding of food and food dietetics. It is based on understanding of Ayurveda's basic principles. Based on that, so many items are coming to exist. And we have got hundreds of books only on culinary. Hundreds of food items are there. There are books only for treating conditions of chronic metabolic disorders. There is a book written only on rheumatoid arthritis and food that are useful. So each disease, each condition can be corrected by. That's why we say food as a Mahabhaishajam. Food is the Mahabhaishajam because food can actually compensate all other things if it is properly utilized. I think this will do to give an understanding of food, how dietetics principle of Ayurveda can help in human life. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for very beautifully putting the point that what we eat. Definitely, eat well. It can either make you or break you. Since we are behind the schedule, I think we can take the questions in the question and answer session later. So with your permission and the permission of the chair, let me move on to our next distinguished speaker, Dr. P. Ram Manohar. Dr. Ram Manohar has been contributing to the field of Ayurvedic research since the last 30 years. Actually, he can be seen as the most reputed scientist of Ayurveda. We have contributed to the international Ayurveda world. He has been the principal investigator in many prestigious international projects and has won the Excellence in Integrative Medicine Research Award from the European Society of Integrative Medicines. Dr. Ram is a research advisor for Indian National Science Academy, Government of India. He served in the working group to formulate the education policy for integrative medicine of the Niti Ayoga and also the task force for implementing integrative approaches to management of hypertension and diabetes, National Health System Resource Center, Government of India. In 2021, he was honored with the Keshav Baliram Hegdewar Healing Honor 2021 for integrative medicine. Dr. Ram is currently the research director of Amrita Center for Advanced Research in Ayurveda, Amrita School of Ayurveda, Kollam. It's indeed my great pleasure to invite Dr. P. Ram Manohar to present his perspective on concepts of food and nutrition in Ayurveda. Dr. P. Ram Manohar. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Namaste. Pranams to Honorable Consul General of India, Shanghai, Dr. N. Nandakumar ji, Consul Mr. Arun Kumar Panwal, Dr. Bhujan Patwarthan ji, Dr. Gangadharan ji, my eminent co-panelists, and the learned participants representing diverse disciplines of learning. I'm actually really honored to be present here today on this platform, witnessing what seems to be a potential confluence of one of the two oldest medical healthcare traditions in the world, which seems to be in the making. And I believe there is a lot to learn, for Ayurveda from Chinese system and from Chinese system of medicine from Ayurveda. And we are actually rekindling a historical process of exchange. And I hope such initiatives will create the opportunity for more fruitful exchanges in the modern world. Now, let me go into my presentation. I will just share my slides. I hope it is visible. So today I'd like to very briefly, give an overview, a snapshot of concepts of food and nutrition from the Ayurvedic perspective. I mean, today the world needs food and intelligence like never before, perhaps in recorded human history, because we are facing a dilemma when it comes to food and nutrition. Diverse businesses supply most of the food consumed by the world population today. And the food industry has commercialized this whole process of eating. And it influences, there is a significant influence of the food industry on what choices we make in the kind of foods that we eat. And on the other hand, there has also been great advances in nutritional science and an explosion of information that is actually confusing people. And it's very difficult in our present times to decide what is good or bad. One day we hear that tea is good, the next day we hear that it is bad. And this is true for most of the food substances, not to speak of the further confusions created by food supplements, nutraceuticals and functional foods and all that. Today we have diverse views on what is a good diet for humans. Veganism to carnivorism at its extreme, low carb diets, ketogenic diet, Atkins diet, alternate day fasting, whole day fasting, time restricted fasting. So it is in this backdrop that I would like to present some of the key concepts of Ayurveda. I believe its ancient wisdom can bring some light into this confusion and give us a framework, for a more balanced view of what is good food and nutrition for humanity. Now, Ayurveda has a very comprehensive theoretical framework to begin with, where it classifies all substances as food, medicine, or poison. Swasthahidam, dosha shamanam, dhatu pradushanam. This is not a compartmentalized classification. Ayurveda believes that it is very difficult to make, fine distinctions between such categories. Food can become medicine, medicine can become poison, food can also become poison in certain contexts. And so we have a whole spectrum of a flexible classification where food is defined, as was mentioned by previous speakers, Gangadharan ji, food that is rasa pradhanam, or that is essentially nutritional, and medicine, which is virya pradhanam, which can regulate functions of life, and poison, which can disrupt functions of life. So based on this definition, substances can be, assessed according to the context. And this is very interesting that Ayurveda also points out that nutrition affects both body and mind. And all foods are classified in terms of their effect on the tridoshic balance of the body as well as the triguna balance on the mind. And this was also highlighted by Dr. Gangadharan ji, so I'm not going too much into details here. But what is really interesting is Ayurveda's recognition of food diversity. We have a multi-dimensional classification of food items broadly classified into liquid foods and solid foods. It's beyond the scope of a short presentation to go into the granularity of this classification, but I'm just trying to, give an overview. these are broad sub-classifications, but if we were going into granularity, you can see minute sub-classifications. Almost all items, some of the items which may even think today is not edible, has been included in Ayurveda. I mean, this is the concept of food diversity and of Ayurveda mapping the food practices across the length and breadth of the country, and even food dietary practices of other countries like Greece and China are discussed in classical Ayurvedic texts. So here is a graphical representation of, the food diversity class captured in the classical Ayurvedic text. For lack of time, I'm not going into the details. And it is very difficult to, characterize Ayurveda as veganism or vegetarianism. Ayurveda has a very flexible approach. It's very open-minded, very scientific in its approach, and looks at all possible nutritional sources, but still emphasize on the need for focusing on a diet that is predominantly vegetarian, although the use of meat, non-vegetarian diet in relevant context is accepted. So this is a very broad classification, and items are arranged very meticulously on the basis of their nutritional profile, with more preferred items mentioned first and least preferred in the end. And this classification system could even today serve as a template to which new items can be added and updated. And at one glance, we can make very quick decisions on what is nutritionally suitable for a particular individual in a particular context. Now, there are three interesting principles. It's very fascinating to see that Ayurveda has looked at the concept of food and nutrition in a multidimensional manner. There are multiple ways of looking at what is balanced diet. One of which is, that it's very interesting that although Ayurveda emphasizes on nutrition and the quality of the food, Ayurveda says that we have to balance three things: that food should be delicious, nutritious, and assimilable at the same time. And it's very difficult to bring these three things together. So diverse recipes, manasa priyam, food should otherwise you will go into depression if your food is not tasty. Your food will not be properly digested. Your immune system will be weakened. These are very interesting points that Ayurveda discusses, and that's how the whole science of cooking developed in India, where these three things are harmonized. Food should be nutritious, but all nutritious food may not be assimilated by all individuals. So bringing these three things together in a customized, individualized manner is the Ayurvedic principle of complete food. And as the previous speaker was mentioning, there are many books, and here are some examples. Bhojana Kutuhalam, the curiosity of food, an entire textbook devoted on healthy cooking. Pakadarpana of Nala. The cooking was such a fascination that even kings, were great cooks, and Pakadarpana is composed by a king named Nala, who was a very famous king. And there are other books like Kshema Kutuhalam and also Patyapatya Vinirnaya, which is a specialized textbook on dietetics. Now, Ayurveda also says personal choices. I mean, Ayurveda gives a guideline that it's very easy for us to, fall for food that is priyam, which is pleasurable. And so Ayurveda, this is where Ayurveda emphasizes on the concept of food intelligence, that individuals should be counseled, and this should be part of the overall educational process on making this distinction between foods that are hitam, that can lead to healthy outcomes in the long run, and foods that are priyam, which affects health adversely in the long run. And today's health industry is the entire focus is on promoting the use of food that according to Ayurveda would be priyam. Now, from another point of view, Ayurveda says that balancing the diet means looking at quality, hitahara, looking at quantity, mitahara, and also timing, kala bhojanam. For lack of time, I'm not going into the details. Ayurveda has a lot of interesting concepts on how many times a person should eat a meal, what meal should be taken in the morning, what in the evening, and what should be the gap between meals. What food should we start our meal with, what should we end with, what should be in the middle of a meal, and how this should be changed according to the seasons. And this was also discussed already by Gangadharanji, so I'm not going into the details. The 8 factors of balanced diet, Prakriti, the nutritional profile. Every Ayurveda says there is nothing that is ultimately good or bad. According to the situation, according to the individual, what is good in one context becomes bad in another. And we have to study the nutritional profile of every substance, then see what happens in combination. Especially the Ayurvedic idea of incompatible food is something that needs to be researched a lot, I think, in modern times, because today we find due to cross-cultural exchanges of culinary practices, there are a lot of ways in which food items are combined, and many of them could be harmful. And the Ayurvedic concept of viruddhahara, or incompatible food, is extremely relevant here. The way food is processed, even a good food can become bad if it's wrongly processed, or a food that is not generally considered good can be made more wholesome by proper processing. When it comes to Matra, Ayurveda is very specific that the total quantity of the food should be considered, as well as quantity of individual items. Both should be very clearly distinguished. And according to geography, the seasons, so this is something which Gangadharanji already explained, so I'm just not dwelling further on this concept. But according to the constitution, Prakriti, and according to the mental state, and according to the occupation, the activity, one fundamental principle in Ayurveda is the mental state of an individual determines what type of lifestyle that person will adopt. And according to the lifestyle, a suitable diet should be taken up. And now I want to also conclude my discussion by highlighting some corroborations with modern science. There is a lot of scope for also understanding. Dr. Gangadharanji was mentioning that Ayurveda has its own core concepts, and I'm sure that these concepts can bring new insights in understanding food and nutrition from a more holistic perspective. But there are also possibilities for, healthy dialogues between modern science and Ayurveda. And here we can see many of the traditional diets from a modern scientific point of view makes a lot of sense. There are so many examples, but I would just like to show 2 or 3 before I conclude. Most of the common items that we eat in Indian diet are based from a modern point of view on the concept of balancing proteins, carbohydrates, and amino acids. If you look at roti and dal, it's a combination of wheat and lentils, both of which, contain essential amino acids, which we would not get a complete protein nutrition if we were to take only one item. So rajma rice, idli dosha, again rice and black gram. And in Kerala, we have puttu and kadala, which is again rice and chickpea. So in many places, we can see modern science is also confirming through modern nutritional concepts the logic behind the recipes of traditional food items used in India. Now, what's very interesting is sambar, which is an Indian dish that is very popular in the South and now also all over India, and also in Indian restaurants world over. There are studies which show that this Indian dish is such a unique recipe that it has the potential to prevent the development of colon cancer. And if you look at it, the incidence of colon cancer is much less in India and even much lesser in southern India. Perhaps there is something to do with the regular use of dishes like sambar. And there is a very interesting recipe in Kerala, which is called kalan, where we use yam, curds, pepper, and turmeric. And here it's also very interesting to see how this is, fortifying a food recipe with iron supplementation and also boosting the chemicals in natural foods that can prevent inflammation. So curds help the iron in yam to be absorbed, and piperin in pepper helps curcumin in turmeric to be absorbed. So there are many, many such examples of how traditional Indian foods tried to bring this beautiful concept of delicious, nutritious, and assimilable food. So I think I will stop here, as we are also, very much constrained in time. But I hope in this short time, I was able to give a snapshot of the contributions that Ayurveda can make to develop food and nutrition in modern society in a more balanced way, and especially nurture food intelligence in a time when the whole world is facing a dilemma when it comes to healthy choices in food and nutrition. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. It was indeed very interesting presentation, throwing light into the very pertinent points behind the interesting logic and thoughtfulness in which traditional food combinations and recipes have been contributed in traditional Indian food. Thank you, sir. With your permission, we will discuss the questions maybe at the end of the session, and let's call on the next presenter of the day, Professor Jain Damodaran. Professor Jain is a very renowned academician and policy maker with over 2 decades of experience as a teacher and researcher, the specialty of Swasthavrita or community medicine. He has been an integral part of the government of Kerala COVID-19 response team since the beginning of the pandemic. He had been a member of Board of Studies at Banaras Hindu University, Kannur University, Pondicherry University, and also Kerala University of Health Sciences. He has presented more than 100 scientific papers related to Ayurveda in various national and international seminars and guided over 35 postgraduate theses on the subject. He also is a renowned blogger with much followers in Malayalam and English. Dr. Jain currently is working as the Dean, Faculty of Ayurveda at Kerala University of Health Sciences. It's my pleasure to welcome Dr. D. Jain Damodaran to talk on the art and science of food and food consumption in Ayurveda. Dr. Jain, please.
Thank you, Dr. Hemlata. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you are.
Okay, thanks a lot for the nice words. And Honorable Consulate General Nandakumar sir, all the learned dignitaries in this panel and in the audience, and ladies and gentlemen, 10 minutes is all I have. So I'm directly going to the presentation. Let me share my screen. The presentation is on. We can see a traditional Kerala diet here, and this is a diet that is accustomed by the Kerala people. It may not be the same diet in China or for that matter in any other parts of India, say in Northeast or in the northern parts of India. Each area or each region of the world is having its own special natural food items, and that will be beneficial and that will be wholesome for that population. So it is not that everybody should eat the same food, but everybody should get nutrition properly and everybody should be happy after eating the meal. As the previous speakers were telling, Ayurveda has a holy trinity called three doshas, which you might have heard about, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, the three main humors that are maintaining health. And there are three sub-pillars for that. First among them is ahara or food. The second one is sleep. And the third one is abramacharya or the sexual activity. If these three things are proper, a person can have a happy and satisfied life. The first among them is food. And ahara is defined in Ayurveda as anything that is taken with the purpose of nutrition or nourishment through the mouth with the help of the teeth and tongue downwards. That is why ahriyate, jihvaya, dandesha, galada thoniyate iti ahara. That is a Sanskrit word. I am aware that there are people who may not understand Sanskrit, so I'll try to keep talking in English more. And Ayurveda says that the body, the term used for body is sharira. The term itself means that which is being destroyed continuously. So sharira is being destroyed continuously. You know, the cells are continuously dying out, at the same time they are regenerated. So it's created continuously as well. With this concept in mind, I introduce the concept of Pancha Mahapudras also to our fellow people, our friends in China. Human body is made of 5 great elements of nature. Everything surrounds us is also made of these 5 great elements. So whatever deficiency we have in our body can be compensated with the same 5 great elements. Whichever is less will be substituted. So our body is made of Pancha Mahapudras. So is everything around us. So is medicine, and so is food. And 6 days are recognized by Ayurveda, which are needed for a person in his daily life to maintain his nourishment. The first one is sweet, then comes sour, then comes salt, then comes bitter, pungent, and astringent. So if a person is taking all these kind of food which includes all these 6 days, that is wholesome. And this food is nourishing a body which contains 7 dhadus. The first dhatu is called rasa, and the last one is shukra. So the transformation from rasa to the last dhatu shukra is called the journey of rasa. Otherwise, it is called rasayana. This concept is unique to Ayurveda, and it is the base of health and immunity of a person. So rasa transforms from one form to another, from rasa to rakta to mamsa, like that it goes, and finally it produces what is called ojas, or the vitality of an individual, which provides the immunity. And these are the dietetic rules which I want to talk about. Though these lines are Sanskrit, don't worry about that. We'll change over to English soon. Dr. Ramanohar stopped there, and I'm continuing that. Whenever we eat food, the first quality that a food item has to have is Ushna. It should be Ushna, or it should be warm. The warm food brings in sweat to people, and it kindles the digestive fire, it improves the digestive enzymes, and it brings in digestion fast, and it pacifies vata and reduces kapha. So ideally, a person should eat food that is warm. And the second quality that is to have is called snigdha, or unctuous, or the food should be soft. The soft food again provides all the previous qualities, plus it nourishes the body and gives firmness to the organs and improves strength and complexion. So after warmth and softness comes ideal quantity of the food. Previous speakers all were telling this thing. It is not the amount, it is not the same amount to all people in case of food intake. I may be needing a particular quantity of food, another person may vary in that. And depending upon the disease condition, again, it may vary. So it depends on the digestive power of the person. And if a person is taking food in the right quantity, it will be assimilated, and it will be leading to vitality and immunity in that person. The next quality Ayurveda prescribes is called jirna. Only after the digestion of the previously taken food a person should eat. Otherwise, again, we will be putting undigested food to partly digested food in our stomach, which again creates difficulties in digestion. And then it is explained that virya viritha. That means we have to take foods that are not contradictory to the potency of the other ingredients. That concept was explained by Dr. Gangatharan and Dr. Ramanohar. And the next point is a little interesting. This is that a person should eat at a place that is comfortable for a person. That leads to proper digestion. Eating at a comfortable place prevents stress caused by uncomfortable surroundings and alienation, and which provides a happy state of mind, or a comfortable state of mind, which leads to happy digestion. And again, Ayurveda says that we should arrange everything, every utensils, everything should be arranged on a table and sit comfortably without any distraction. Eat it. That is Ishta Sajjopakarana. And then Acharyas advise us to eat in a way that you are not eating too fast or too slow. Na atidrudam. If you eat too fast, we have observed in our clinical experience that people who eat too fast are having especially problems related to dyslipidemia, or the increased cholesterol and variation in triglycerides and all. That is a notified factor which we are conducting a study upon. So a person should eat with comfortable speed. Do not eat too fast or too slow. And then they advise us to eat with a particular rule, that you should not talk or you should not laugh out while eating. It can again cause the food may enter the windpipe, and it can cause problems, and it can take away the attention from the food. Ayurveda advises people to eat with tanmana. That means you eat mindful. You should dedicate your mind totally to the eating and then finish the eating so that it digests properly. Because Ayurveda considers that body is in intimate relationship with the mind. So body and mind together should be applied while we eat also. And Dr. Ramanur was just mentioning that there is mentioning of time of food intake. Initially, Ayurveda was suggesting 2 times a day meals. Then later, people began doing agriculture and all those practices. There was abundance of food. And then the system of 3 meals a day came. And it suggests that one should eat at least once in 6 hours. And one should not eat between 3 hours, 1 yama. If you have taken food, wait at least up to 3 hours before taking another food. Ideally, 5 hours. 5 hours is needed for digestion. And you should not extend that period of fasting beyond 6 hours, ideally. So that if a person is taking food early morning, say 8 o'clock, he can take the lunch by about 2 p.m. and then he can take the dinner at about 8 p.m. And then he can go to bed after, say, 10 o'clock. Now, modern science also says that a person should not go to bed immediately after taking food. So that is what Ayurveda suggests for the timing of food intake. And there are indications. I was telling that food should be taken warm, but it is not a must that everybody should take food warm. Previous speakers were always telling that there is no good or bad thing or the black and white thing in food intake. There will be conditions in which a patient or a person has to take food cold. Those conditions are listed. When you come across Ayurveda deeper, you will understand that. Similarly, warm food is indicated in certain conditions. Unctuous or soft food is indicated in some conditions. And non-oily food is indicated in some cases. Liquid food is indicated in some cases and dry food in some other. Every variation is advised according to the condition of the patient or the person. So Ayurveda is highly personalized in that sense. And Anupana is another concept which Ayurveda puts forward. That is the vehicle or adjuvant of food, or whatever you take after food or during food. It can be liquids, say like how to take water or hot water during food, or say takra or buttermilk during food, or ghee. Different types of adjuvants can be taken during food intake. So that is also a key part in food intake. And there is an order. This was also mentioned by Dr. Ramanur. Just I'm telling that Ayurveda suggests that a person should take sweet taste food initially, and then move towards sour, salty, and then towards pungent and the bitter things. That is Ayurveda's suggestion. And the condition of the diner is also explained by Ayurveda. While eating, a person, when he is dining, he should sit comfortably on a little elevated seat and with keen interest towards the food. That's why tanmana is very important. If you are disinterested towards food, it will not digest properly. If you are agitated, again, that is another problem. So sit comfortably and then eat at a proper time with accustomed food that is light, unctuous, warm, liquid based, and that type of a food get quickly digested, especially when you're eating after hungry. And after food, what you should do is clean your, actually brushing the teeth is advised twice, once before food and then after food. And you can use a toothpick. Clearly it is mentioned in Ayurvedic books to clean your dental or your dentures. And then immediately a person should not sleep. It is said that a person should sit like a king after food and then walk for a few feet, like say 100 feet, and then only he has to go to bed, take rest and then only go to bed. That is the way it is advised. And it is advised that a person should go to bed after hearing favorite sounds. All the 5 sense organs should be happy while you go to bed so that you can sleep peacefully and happily wake up the next morning. So this is what is called Ayurvedic way of, or the art of food intake and art of living in Ayurvedic terms. I extend my sincere thanks to the organizers, and I hope I have not taken too much time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jain. It was indeed very interesting. And again, it's very important, very pertinent in this increasingly mechanized lifestyle to remind us there is no absence as far as diet and feeding habits are considered. Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to the next presenter, the last online presenter of the day, Dr. Sri Ranjini Jaydeep. Dr. Sri Ranjini Jaydeep, she's a clinician and a researcher with an illustrious career of over 20 years in Ayurveda clinical practice, especially transdisciplinary research and academics. Dr. Sri Ranjini was a consultant physician in the Institute of Ayurveda and Integrative Medicine and also the Ramaya Indic Specialty Ayurveda Hospital in Bangalore. She has been a co-investigator on several research projects and is a faculty for workshops on research methodology, medical ethics, biostatistics, and scientific writing. She currently is a freelance research consultant at Ramaya Ayurveda, and she also provides Ayurveda consultant at Sevayu, Canada. Dr. Sri Ranjini, with immense pleasure, let me invite you to present your views on significance of nutrition in mother and child healthcare in Ayurvedic perspective. Dr. Sri Ranjini, please.
Thank you, Dr. Hemlata. A very warm good evening to the Consul General of India at Shanghai, all the delegates who are present at the consulate, and all the other delegates who are present online. So I will quickly go through my subject for the day, which is on mother and child nutritional needs, which can be fulfilled with Ayurveda. So the basic guidelines for nutrition has been given by the speakers before me, so it makes my task very easier. I don't need to go into actual details of the basic concepts of nutrition. However, what we need to understand is when it comes to factors that are responsible for healthy offspring, healthy children, and healthy citizens, 4 factors are considered to be essential. The healthy ovulatory cycles in the woman, a healthy maternal environment, nourishment for the child, and a healthy sperm and ovum. Now, we see that all these 4 factors are basically dependent on the maternal factor. So a good maternal nutrition starting from a very early age, going all the way up to pregnancy and post-pregnancy is what is very much essential for healthy citizens in the future. So knowing this, knowing the importance of this, Ayurveda has dedicated a branch called Kaumara Bhritya, which deals with care at menarche, care during pregnancy, and care in the postpartum period, in addition to care for the newborn, children at different ages, and so on. So this is something which is comprehensively a part of tradition in India, and most of it has been gleaned from concepts in Ayurveda. Yes, the rule of the thumb for nutrition, as speakers have been telling before me, yes, a light in nutrition, well-balanced diet composed of all 6 tastes, and something which enhances the metabolic fire. So these ages for the mother, wherein they're at menarche, during pregnancy and postpartum period, it's considered to be a period wherein there is inherently low metabolic fire. So there is sluggishness of the metabolism. So if the diet itself can include items which are enhancing the metabolic fire, that will help in better digestion, better absorption, and assimilation. So different categories of foods are explained, including all the major components of foods like grains and cereals, lentils, dairy, vegetables, and fruits, and other sources, animal sources like meat. Now, this is a very dynamic understanding. So it is not that the diet at menarche is the same as diet during pregnancy, different stages of pregnancy and different stages in the postpartum period. So also different age groups in children. So it is extremely dynamic, always tailored to the individual and the period of need. So there are things which can be added on to this basic formula. There are things that can be removed from this formula. And that will help to ensure that holistic nutrition, which will fulfill all the needs of the mother and child, are taken care of. Now, if I am to share very few examples of specific dietary prescriptions for mother and child, during menarche, Ayurveda recommends the use of sesame and black gram in quantities more than what is otherwise used. So if we look at the nutritional value of sesame or black gram, we see that protein-rich, micronutrient-rich in terms of manganese, zinc, calcium, which is very much required for the growing age. So this supplementation at the menarche sets the tone for a healthy life for the mother in the future years. Now, during pregnancy, dominantly sweet rasas when compared to the other rasas that we learned about, the spicy, the bitter, the astringent, the sour. Compared to this, we would have a slightly dominant sweet taste being part of the diet, pleasant, that is hridya, which is not just for the mind, but also for nourishing the body, and more drava foods or liquid foods are what are indicated during pregnancy, and always addition of milk and ghee in large quantities so as to ensure that her nutritional needs are met. And fortification with specific herbs. There are a whole lot of herbs that have been described in Ayurveda that are being used regularly during pregnancy at different stages to help meet the nutritional needs of the mother. Now, these herbs, the beauty of Ayurveda is that these herbs are inculcated into the diet rather than being given separately as a medication. So you would have most of these with the foods that they are taking on a regular basis. And in the postpartum period, a lot of guidelines as to how to ease into a normal diet because the body has undergone a major change. So you start with light cooked food, which is more the form of gruel or porridges, which is semi-solid or liquid in consistency, soups, which can be made with vegetables and fruits. And then as the Agni improves, as the mother's body starts coming back to normal, then you add on more items from the basic nutritional families. Now, herbs and vegetables that are used during the period of postpartum is mostly those which will enhance nutrition and also help with lactation. So again, all the vegetables which are which do enhance lactation are what are prescribed in the postpartum period. So there is no real need to actually rely on medicines, but food be thy medicine. That would be the mantra during this age. And this is what Ayurveda has always been describing. And if you go into the specifics, of course, I will not detail this, but it's mind-boggling to see that Ayurveda details month-wise prescription of diet and lifestyle, and what are the different other Ayurveda therapies that could also be done during the postpartum and the pregnant lady, which will help with the various changes that the body undergoes. So this is the specific details that Ayurveda has gone into when it comes to maternal and child care, leaving no stone unturned to ensure that the nutritional needs are met. When it comes to children and nutrition, Ayurveda also classifies kids in different age groups based on their diet, wherein initially they are dependent only on milk, and then they add on more solids, and then they move to predominantly solid foods as they grow older. An exhaustive description of weaning foods, the processing when weaning foods are being made. So soaking them in water, allowing them to sprout, using the dehusked matured grains, always cooked, nothing raw. So these are guidelines which again are contextual, could be used according to the geoclimatic conditions in a specific region, or based on the traditional needs, traditional foods that are a part of that particular region. And fats, good fats, mostly ghee and other sources of fat and salt are something which are added on to the nutritional needs of the child. So the concept that nothing is static, it is not that a child starts on one food and remains on the same throughout its life, is something which we need to pay a lot of importance to. And slowly, after the age of 1 year, the kid moves on to more of the solid family of foods and starts including a whole lot of more vegetables and fruits and others. Purees, vegetable purees in the earlier on age, wherein they do not yet have teething and they are not able to chew. And as teething happens, moving on to more solid foods, that's the protocol which is recommended in Ayurveda as well. So what we need to really understand is that it's not something which is constant, it's an evolving dynamic concept. You can add in more newer age fruits, vegetables that have not been taught in Ayurveda, understand these, and ensure that both the macro and the micronutritional needs of the mother and child are met. And this helps in a good growth and development, a holistic growth and development for the child, and also ensures that the mother recovers and there is restoration of her health in the earlier periods following the delivery. So I would just like to end with this quote from literature in Karnataka, who says that new leaves and old roots are what make the tree magnificent. New knowledge and old principles, when unified, become the truth. If the wisdom of the sages can blend with new sciences, it would definitely be a benefit for them. So with these few words, I would like to thank CISSA India and the Consul General of India, Shanghai, for giving me this opportunity. And thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sri Ranjini. It was indeed a very timely and very concise overview of the importance of dietetics, especially in women and children. And it comes to, again, Kashyapa Samhita, maybe the most beautiful account of food and what and how it can be given to the children. Maybe the maximum number of soup recipes can be found in, I think, Kashyapa Samhita. It's such a great elaborative description about diet. And again, you very correctly pointed out that maybe Ayurveda might be the only science where age has been classified depending on the nutrition. While we say toddler, school-going age and all, in other terminology, we have classified children as Kshirada, the child depending on milk and nutritional other factors. So it's a wonderful concept. Thank you very much for very precisely putting in the point. Now, with this, we are moving on to the next session. We have with us offline in Shanghai, Dr. Anita Sharma. Dr. Anita Sharma is a Bachelor in Ayurvedic Medicines and Surgery from India, and she has a PG diploma in cosmetology with a gold medal. She also has an advanced diploma in Chinese language from Shanghai Maritime. She is currently working in Shanghai since 2007 at Nagoya International Shanghai Company Limited in International Trade Administration. We are eagerly looking forward to listen to Dr. Anita Sharma regarding her experiences of Ayurveda in Shanghai, China. Dr. Anita Sharma will be speaking today on Ayurveda in daily life. Dr. Anita Sharma, please.
Dr. Hemlata, namaskaram to respectable CG sir, all honorable and very knowledgeable doctors. You have spoken very precisely and very deeply on nutrition. I would not like to repeat all the points about nutrition and what you have already spoken. First of all, I may not forget, I would like to point out one major thing what I have experienced in China. When we go to the doctor in China, in hospital, whether the doctor is of modern medicine or CM, they always prefer to prescribe diet too. They force that they don't force that they advise patient to take adequate diet according to their disease, so they can combat disease with diet and take less medicines. If we can practice this in India as well, because in India doctor prescribe medicine and that's all. They don't advise patients for diet. I think this is a very good thing I have learned in China. They are very particular about diet, whether it is for a healthy body or they are advising a patient. I will give you an example. My son, he was suffering from asthma. I was giving him anti-allergic medicine, cetirizine. We took him to the doctor for the general checkup, and he was coughing. Doctor told that okay, he should take khada. You all know about decoction of pear. You know, this is a very small thing. You are present here, you should know. One pear and put into the water, and then boil it. When water is half, when you one pear you put in 2 glass of water, and when the water comes to half, 1 glass of water, then take it half glass in the morning, half glass in the evening with honey. So I was not interested in giving in so in severity of cough, but I gave because doctor prescribed. That is what they are prescribed. They are advising here. They practice here in China. I gave him, and to my surprise, he was 70% recovered within 2 days. When I give him cetirizine, he takes at least 4 or 5 days to recover up to 50%. You see the difference. So this is the thing they prescribe. I have been so suffering from so many problems. So I have been going to so many Chinese hospitals. I have met so many Chinese doctors. They always advise diet according to the problem of the patient. So I think this is what we can do in our country, because we are discussing about Poshan. So Poshan is all about to make a healthy body as well as to remove diseases. So I think when COVID came, our government, Indian government, they made people aware of COVID conduct during the viral phase through media. I think they can do the same thing about Poshan, about nutrition. They can use media, of course. So many doctors, they are advising about nutrition, about food on YouTube. People, they go on, they can go on YouTube. But if government take a step to make people aware of the things they should know about Poshan, what is exactly Poshan according to Ayurveda? So I will not repeat the things my honorable and knowledgeable doctors has discussed already. In short, I will say in Ayurveda, we say Purusha. Purusha is made of not only body, it is all Atma, Mana and Sharira. Sama dosha, sama agnischa, sama dhatu malakriya, prasannatma indriya mana, swastiti abhidhyate. That when your doshas, what doctors has been telling, vata, pitta, kapha, your agni, your digestion, and your samdhatu and malakriya all are in balance, and your atma, your indriya means your all your senses, your mind, all are happy and healthy, then it is called healthy body. Purusha, swastha Purusha. Same statement is about health is about it is by WHO about perfect health. Health is state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, not merely absence of disease or infertility. So Ayurveda, it's very ancient, ancient pathy, and it is very scientific about food and nutrition. It is not about food for everyone, not one food for everyone, not one thing for everyone. It is all about Purusha Prakriti, according to every individual. Every individual about dosha, about Prakriti, about Vikriti, they made an individual diet plan. It is not what is an apple a day keeps a doctor away. We can't keep a doctor away by having one apple every day. What Ayurveda says, it is all body becomes healthy with proper diet and right lifestyle. It is all about relationship between body, food, and daily life. Relationship between Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Relationship between Dosh, Dhatu, and Mal. Relationship between your mind and consciousness. That is all about food, relationship of food with your body and your mind and your consciousness. This is all in Ayurveda. This is not about body only. It is about mind and Atma, what makes our body. And for body, ahara sambhavo deha, like body is derived from food. So Ayurveda, there are different koshas, not only one abdomen, your food goes to abdomen. There are Annamaya kosha, food body, Pranamaya kosha, body of prana, Manomaya kosha, body of mind, Jnanmaya kosha, body of knowledge, Jnanmaya, body of wisdom, Anandamaya kosha, a blissful body. So in Vedic science, bodies are nourished by the food, through food and only food. So we have to think about food, what we are taking. This is all about nutrition, because food not only nourishes our body, it nourishes our prana, vital breath. And yes, we know the prana is in wheat, grains, in vegetables, in everything there is prana. So we have to make the wheat and vegetables or raw things, we have to make adaptable up to body, because we body animal, our digestive system is delicate. It needs cooking. Cooking makes food appropriate for digestive system. So after digestion, ahara ras and the product digestive food nourishes all our body tissues. Food nourishes our body, our mind, and our atma. Food is life. Person doesn't get food for many days, he will die. But food is life, functional integration between body, mind, and consciousness. But again, on the other hand, food can spoil our body. If it is not taken on the proper time, in proper quality or proper quality, in proper quantity, at when you are not hungry, when you are when you have taken food, just you are taking food just before you have eaten fully, and you are repeating, you are taking food again, it will be indigested food. It will turn into toxins and spoil your body. So this is all about food. Food can make our body, food can spoil our body. So this is, we have to learn that when we eat, we have to eat with our mind also, not our body. Mind, there are in Ayurveda, mind is not just mind. There are three types of minds. Gunas is sattva, mind, and doshas are raja and sattva. What is rajas? Sattva is clarity, purity, reception, Therefore, sattva is observer. Rajas is temptation, agitation, movement, desire for anything. Tamas is darkness, inertia. If we take food in tamas or we take tamasic food, it will spoil your body. We have to keep in mind that when we take food, we don't have to fill our body. We have to make energy for our body, because our mind, our atma, all are in our body. If we don't have our body, we cannot enjoy our mind and our atma. So food can be taken according to prakriti, according to vikriti, according to dosha, dhatu, mal, all. When you have already toxins in your body, you cannot take heavy foods like heavy proteins and fats. Ayurveda says if we eat proper food, we will be healthy and happy. No disease will happen. Disease happens because of wrong diet. Example, if the person is of kapha prakriti, he is eating food full of kapha like butter, curd, ice cream. He will be having cold, cough, and chest congestion. This is all about prakriti. If a person is of pith prakriti, his pith is high. If he is taking pepper, chili, spicy foods, and very hot food, he will end up into catching diseases. If person is of vat prakriti, he will take ruksha, dry foods. He will make activities like jogging and jumping highly. He will be ending up catching arthritis or rheumatoid arthritis. So it is all about pathya and apatya. There is in Ayurveda, it is whole science about food. The pathya food, there is apatya ahara. Apatya ahara, what is apatya ahara? When we take food that is not healthy for our body, it doesn't give nutrition to our body, rather it spoil our body. It is apatya ahara. It is like adhyashan, eating frequently before digestion of first meal. Atyashan is eating too much. Vipimshan, eating at wrong time. Alphashan, eating very less, and Viruddhashan, eating non-compatible food. Like eat fish with milk, you will be having skin problems, stomach problem, and even you can catch many intestinal ailments. So I think this is in short, I should compile this my paper, because time is already running. So I would say that Ayurveda is not unlike modern science. Ayurveda is whole science about relationship of food and body and mind and earth. So we can make our mind balanced by balanced diet. Vice versa, balanced mind will choose balanced diet. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anita Sharma, for giving us an overview regarding how a healthy diet regimen is indeed very important for a healthy mind and body. Let's move on to the last but a very important, eagerly awaiting presentation from Dr. Sanjeev Chaubey. Dr. Sanjeev Chaubey is a senior medical professional and consultant in the Department of Internal Medicine, Division of Gastroenterology and Organized Diabetic Clinic in Shanghai. His area of expertise, apart from his clinical service, includes medical education and clinical research in healthcare management, mainly emergency and ICU management. He has been nominated for the Bharatiya Pravasi Award in the year 2020. Dr. Chobe is a familiar face among the people of India and China as a correspondent on COVID-19 updates, and he has given a large number of television interviews on many Indian and international news channels. So we are indeed very much happy and privileged to have you, Dr. Sanjeev Chobe, to be with us to present your views on Ayurveda and malnutrition. Dr. Sanjeev Chobe, please.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Dr. Hemlata ji, for brief introduction, and thank you, Sri Dr. Nand Kumar ji, Consulate General of India, Shanghai, and thank you, Arun Kumar Panwar ji, Consul of Arts and Culture, and respected all the speakers and invited guests. Already the discussion has been made on the nutrition part. So I would like to cover something Ayurvedic and traditional Chinese medicine on the overview, just a correlation between the two of them. So between the Chinese traditional medicine and the Ayurvedic, there is the basic concept is almost remain same, because Ayurvedic medicine is based on our Vata, Pitta and Kapha, and the basic principle of Chinese traditional medicine is yin and yang. That's also signifies water, bone, wood, metal, fire, earth. More or less, the concept of the treatment and the concept of the course of management is almost same. So now I'm going to focus more on that how we can make the Ayurveda convenient to China, and what is the opportunity we have seen and looking for China and globally to make more popular. That's what my main focus is on. And actually, the paper which I'm using is already discovered our Professor Bhujan Patwarthan. So, and more or less, I'm just repeating that part. We start that. So in China and India, the formal training is an integral part of the national health program, which ensures quality standard of healthcare delivery. China becomes successful in integrating the traditional Chinese medicine in the national healthcare system, and science-based approach were utilized and inoculated in the education of Chinese traditional medicine, which emphasized on research. Hospital practicing Chinese traditional medicine treat more than 200 million outpatient and around 3 million inpatient annually, and about 95% of the Chinese hospitals having a department of traditional Chinese medicine. Our government of India also has initiated and expressed the support and encouragement towards the Ayurvedic Indian traditional medicine, and they form the group is called Ayush. Ayush is basically AYUSH, which is Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha, and H is homeopathy. Was established in the March 1995, and before it was run as a system of Indian system of medicine and homeopathy, which later they changed into an Ayush. The purpose of making this group was to prioritize and include the education, the standard of drugs, enhancement and availability of raw material, research and development, information, communication, larger involvement of the natural system for delivering healthcare. The communication And our one more center, that's the Central Council of Indian Medicine overseas, which is responsible for the teaching and training institute, and the Council for Research and Ayurveda in Siddha, which deals the interdisciplinary research, and some of the projects which is with the help of World Bank, we already running to encourage in the Ayurvedic field and the research. Recently also, there is a 10 new drug testing laboratories have been established. And one of our guests has asked that we don't have the data. In fact, Chinese traditional medicine, they have a well studied on how to use allopathy together with the Ayurvedic Chinese traditional medicine in the combination therapy, which we are still lacking of that in India, because it's not maybe our culture, because we are more inclined towards the allopathy because we're looking for a quick small system. Many additional concerns also we require. The quality of education of many colleges need to be improved, and under the pretext of integration and attempt to make hybrid curricula, producing inadequately trained graduates remain unacceptable for either modern or traditional system. A corrective and promotive policy need to be initiated for traditional Indian medicine to fully realize its potential and contribute more meaningfully to integrative health services. The industry has not been able to grow and develop optimally during the last few decades. Largely, the achieved growth is owing an industry-owned initiative, in-house research and development. A national organization, Ayurvedic Drug Manufacturers Association, is taking a provocative role in improving the quality and research that need to be nurtured and stimulated and sustained by providing special findings and incentives. Now, what are the challenges that we are encounter? Why the Ayurvedic medicine is not so popular, that we have to actually think on that. And I believe in China, there is a huge potential for Chinese, for in Chinese market or even in the globally, there is a huge potential of Ayurvedic medicine, which can be we brand and promote. So we need actually, there are some steps that has to be we should take. First is what is popular that we have to see. The popular in China is yoga, Indian movies, and Indian food. So if yoga teacher, while practicing or giving the making a lecture on the yoga, if they're focusing a little bit on the Ayurvedic herbal medicine, probably it will initiate the interest for the people for the Ayurvedic medicine. They will know more about our hidden feature, which has to come out public. Second, through the promotion can be done through the movies also. There are so many Indian movies are very famous and very hit actors, so we need a very good brand promoter. Aside from that, in Indian food, in the catalog, we should mention all the herbs about like turmeric, what is the benefit, which is lentils, what is the, if it is just give a brief introduction, people will read and take more interest, because they are, after COVID, everyone is more careful about their health and their immunity. The most searched word during the COVID time, what is the treatment and which medicine which can increase your immunity. As we all know that there is no such medicine which can increase your immunity. There is no tablet. But what people have, that as earlier mentioned by that they use pranayam to increase the lungs compliance better, use the diet, healthier diet to make the intestine healthier, so that if there is the attack of COVID, people can at least resist the disease and survive. Aside from that, we also need to include Ayurvedic medicine in the medical insurance claim policy. Like here, if you take any insurance, they cover. Chinese traditional medicine is covered by almost all the medical insurance. Aside from that, we should also need to develop and set up a Ayurvedic center. Like here, if you go to any center, any public hospital, you'll find one department of Chinese traditional medicine, because it's a people belief and it's their culture. We also need to develop this culture in our country, that there is a separate section and department where people can go by their choice and take the help of the Ayurvedic medicine and get better. Aside from that, you've also noticed the Chinese people are very much they have a very strong and blind belief wherever they go, even they go to Australia or US or Canada or any part of the world, they carry some Chinese traditional medicine. It's like even what is belief, but they have their belief, and people also encourage. Our system is entirely different. We just if we have a fever, we look for the paracetamol. If you have some cough or allergy, we look for some citrazine or nicotines. So for that also we need to develop a one task force which promote our brand in Ayurvedic medicine. And in China, the Ayurvedic medicine have a huge potential that I can see, because I spoke to many Chinese doctor and many local people over here. They are very much enthusiastic about the curry, about the food, and I said it's a herb. It's just a herb. It's an Ayurvedic medicine. So it's more of awareness is required. And this one example I would like to give, and who are here, they all know there's a famous movie they made in China that is all about the cancer medicine. So somebody tell us that movie was very popular for the cancer medication, which is cheaper in India at lower cost, available, is very feasibly, easily available. So like this kind of promotion, if we do for our Ayurvedic medicine, and if we tell the people, make more awareness, or we can do some medical tourism in Ayurvedic medication, that will be long-term benefit. We start we start slowly, probably in the 5 years of time, it has a very huge and large potential of the Ayurvedic market and for Ayurvedic products as a drug. So I will not speak more on the malnutrition because we are already the time, and malnutrition and Poshan was covered by the other speakers. So I'm ending with this note that China having a very huge and good market for Ayurvedic medication. The only things that we need make a very good task force work in that direction.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sanjeev Chaudhary. It was very interesting to know that, like, what is popular from India in China. And I'm really happy that food and yoga has found its place among the movies. Maybe, like you correctly said, we can have some kind of packages where we can deliver the messages beyond the massages and the yoga postures. Maybe we can get the messages of Ayurveda and good food sink more into the Chinese people, and maybe it will be in the long run highly beneficial for all of us to launch more projects integrating good principles of dietetics and Ayurveda into Chinese lifestyle. Thank you very much. With this, I think we can move on to the question answer sessions. First of all, I think we can see in Shanghai with our learned audience, if any of them are having any questions to put. over to you, Mr. Anupana, the council. You can coordinate any questions among the audience who are present. It would be helpful. Thank you.
I think there is one participant here who would like to express his views. I will hand over the mic to him.
First of all, I would like to say thanks to our CG Sahab, Dr. Nanda Kumar, for taking such a good initiative. If we look, and there is a good possibility of collaboration between Indian Ayurvedic scientists, traditional Chinese medicine scientists. When you read Chark Samhita, Chark has mentioned about different metals. He has mentioned about the impact of mercury. He talks about copper, which is called tamra, containers of tamra. So at that time, those times, the water was stored in tamra containers, copper containers, not only in India, also in China and Egypt. So today, the Chark Samhita itself is a rich material which could study depth. If you invite even Chinese scientists to study, they can dig out a lot of material which would be good for the humanity. And today, a lot of research papers have been published, where they try to find out why copper containers were used. And those research paper, even can find some research paper presented lately, in which they have mentioned water stored in copper container for 16 hours has a bactericidal effect on waterborne bacteria. Salmonella typhi, which causes typhoid. Then Escherichia coli, which causes weird dehydration and it causes diarrhea. They all disappear after 16 hours, as per the research papers published. And they even try to resuscitate those bacteria, but they were not able to resuscitate those bacteria after they were kept in the copper containers. So I believe Chark Samhita is gold for the scientists. It should be dug out and could be made available to scientists across the world. Of course, the scientists today, they believe in research. We love our culture, we love our Ayurveda, and we are proud of it, because we believe that it was at that time when Chark was there, our medical science was highly developed. Today we talk of technology, it was a highly developed medical science, and it can bring value to the humanity even today. Thanks to all.
Thank you. To my understanding, whatever little understanding I have of medical sciences, I think the presentations are so clear, and the presentations are also so clear that I don't see anyone asking any question on that, at least for Ayurveda and Poshan here offline. Dr. Hemalata, if you could see that if there are someone who would like to ask any question from online participants.
Till now, I have not yet received any questions from any of our audience. Again, if we want to check with the other panelists, if they have any questions regarding anybody else's, this is the time when we can utilize for a small discussion. We'll be very limited. We can take maximum 1 or 2 questions.
So I'm afraid that there are no more questions, because
I think that presentations were very clear, and I don't think there is any doubt left in anyone of participants' minds.
Sure, sir. I think then it's time.
There is one from offline. There is one suggestion from one of the postdoc researchers here in China.
Hi, Dr. Hemlata Reddy. I am Dr. Nafisa. I am basically a senior scientist and working on liver disease presently in a company. So I just want to make one suggestion for the Ayurveda thing. The modern medicine, we have lot of student exchange program. So like Dr. Damodaran and Dr. Gangadharan, we have to work on that note also. That can give a push to our Indian Ayurveda system. If a student can come go abroad and have a student exchange program basically with the Chinese universities, then that will be a very good measure to uplift our Ayurveda system. Thank you very much.
So we'll now like to move forward if there are no more questions, and I would now like to request the Consul General to give his concluding remarks.
I think the easiest job is to summarize everything what others have said. So I'm happy to do that, play that role. First of all, I must apologize to all the speakers, considering the depth and the range of the subject which we have dealt with today. The time allotted to them doesn't do any justice. So I'm really sorry for that. So in order to make the program compact and clear, we had to manage the time in this way. But on the same note, I request all the distinguished speakers to kindly share with us their presentations and also the entire text of their presentation, so that what we will do is that we will try and come up with an e-book of all the information which were presented today, and probably we will publish as part of this webinar and a joint effort between CGI Shanghai and CISSA. So that I think it will be available online, and it can used by as many people as possible. It can be hosted on the website and then circulated to all the people database, so that the information reaches and many more people benefit out of discussions which we had today. I think COVID, among its most devastating consequences, have also had some unintended benefits, which is this online connecting and connectivity, which we have discovered. And now it has become very easy to connect from various parts of the world and discuss whatever subjects we want to discuss. I think that has happened thanks to COVID. So, but for that, we would not have been able to have such a wonderful, in-depth scientific presentations today. So, as I said, or confessed rather, at the during my initial remarks, I am a novice and I'm a commoner. So my concluding remarks are also going to be commonsensical ones. I think today's presentation, for me, 5 or 6 things stand out. First is that, you know, it has not occurred to a normal person that food is also a medicine. So today's presentation has brought out this very clearly. Food is the primary medicine. So this will actually, this awareness, it will do a lot good for everyone, those who have participated. I think those who are not connected with Ayurveda, it will be very, very useful for them to understand this, because medicine is something we all feel that is given by doctors on certain occasions, depending on our body conditions and problems. So this is a wonderful thing to know, that food itself is a medicine. And then second aspect is that I really loved Ayurveda is all about democracy in food. So there is no right food, wrong food. Everything is food. So I think that is wonderful, and it is no wonder that it has originated in India. So so that way also it's very enlightening to know that. And third, Ayurveda is simply, if I can put it, what to eat, when to eat, how to eat, and also where to eat. So I think if we can develop some narrative on these common ideas, I think it will have a larger reach for people not only in India but across the world, and it will be also cross-cultural because this is so simple. I think so. While I'm saying this, I find that it is the basic awareness which is the main impediment preventing the spread of awareness about Ayurveda. I think if the institutions like CISSA, Amrita Institute of Ayurveda, and the Kerala University of Health Sciences could also come up with information on some of these basic commonsensical aspects which are easily teachable and which can be easily shared with people across the world. I think Ayurveda soon become like new yoga, also become very global. So I think today's discussion has been truly eye-opening, and I wholeheartedly, on behalf of the Consulate General of India and my team, thank the Center for Innovation, Science and Social Action, and also all the distinguished speakers. So when I get out of this room, I can proudly say that I do know a bit of Ayurveda. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I think now it's time to conclude with the vote of thanks. May I request Mr. Arun to deliver the vote of thanks, please?
I have been given the honor to pose a vote of thanks to all those who made this event possible. Foremost, I would like to sincerely thank the Center for Innovation in Science and Social Action for agreeing to jointly organize the webinar and making it possible at such a short notice. I would also like to thank the Consulate General for sparing time from his busy schedule and sit through the webinar. A big thanks to Dr. Hemlatha for her efforts in moderating the webinar. Without her, I don't think it would have been possible to maneuver the webinars in such a nice manner. I must remark a proficient sense of gratefulness to all the members of expert panels for enlightening us with knowledge of ancient Indian medicine, science of Ayurveda, especially on food and nutrition. I'd like to extend my generous thanks to all the participants for sparing their valuable time on a working day for attending the webinar. And last but not the least, I would like to thank our technical team for conducting this webinar in such a smooth manner. Thank you all.